I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:01 PM. Do I need to introduce myself? Not good. Make the audience guess. I do have an opening remark for tonight. Mary Crowley has regretfully resigned from the Board of Library Trustees effective immediately. She is finding that she is spending way too much time with her grandchildren, and they live on the West Coast. So, that's that. So having made my opening remarks, I will move on to approval of the minutes from the May 16th meeting.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
Go ahead. I'll second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, raise your hand.
Is that gonna work on the recording?
The motion passes in the affirmative unanimously. Excellent. So then we will move on to the FY23 appropriations report. I think we're looking okay. Jen, anything you want to say?
Just a reminder that we will look overspent in the expenses. And that's because, where is it? Building maintenance is at 197% of our expenditures because of our monthly HVAC. But the town is aware and we're good. Because there's a way to cover the expenses. So we're not in any trouble there. And we did spend a whole lot of our money. So we're in good shape. The rest of the expenses will come in and we'll probably be, it's gonna look a lot more over, but we're still good. That bottom line kind of saves us. So that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy.
What happened? We're at 103% now, right?
We're at 103% of our expenses, but if you look at the overall 92% with the salaries, generally we don't
Oh, okay.
transfer salary
Well,
funding, but
You're right. That was a separate.
Yeah. there's a way, it's not directly taking the salary money, but Jason has a way of legally.
Fancy account.
Yes, yes, and it's all on the up and up. It's just not something that I understand. He starts talking numbers and I'm just like, yeah. So we're good?
The short version is that at town meeting, we appropriate by department and not many towns do it sub salary and expenses. We don't do that here.
Yes.
So he has the ability to be consistent with town meeting that's still within our overall allocation from town meeting.
And I guess on some level, we're fortunate that we had turnover this year because we do have that extra to kind of account for that $20,000 overage for the HVAC issues that we've had. But
Which are all fixed.
yeah. It shouldn't look like that next year, but now that I've said that.
Yeah.
Don't say things like that out loud. I know. Shh, I can't take them back.
We're not in your wood over here.
We're good. That negates that.
The universe can't hear it. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments about the appropriations report? Then we'll move on to the library director's report.
It was very long. I don't know if you had time to read it all.
I will post something
It's
for
missing. I know there were only multiple pages.
You sent us 2 attachments. You sent us separately. The copy is in the middle of the table if anybody would like to look at it. But the back of
Yay.
the brochure is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Announcing the new expanded hours, the restoration of the Monday morning hours beginning on July 3rd.
Richard.
That is the most exciting. Very happy to see that. All the other things in the brochure are awesome, but
This took up a significant, my report is so short because a lot of the work has been summer
Very
reading.
impressive.
Yeah. And then we're, like I said, we're working on some things that just aren't quite ready for this meeting, but some policy updates, and some other redesign work. We just, the building and grounds committee just met and we talked about some of that stuff. So the next meeting, you'll have a longer report from me. But this month was just a lot of behind the scenes stuff, so there wasn't really a lot of interesting things to report on. Other than the Memorial Trust addition was very nice. And there was one thing that sort of solidified after I wrote my report. The Northborough Guide, which is run by Marilee Borden right now, and Liz Nolan has been helping her. They publish a list of local businesses that's updated, and they have a website and community calendar, a Facebook presence. So she has actually indicated for some time that she was looking to step back from doing that, but she didn't want the project and all of the work to go, come to nothing. So we've had a couple of meetings. This was a good time for me to entertain an additional project because we do have a new, Eric is going from 19 to 40 hours a week. So we kind of talked about what we could take on and what we did not want to. So like one thing that they do is they run a community Facebook group for Northborough residents. We did not feel like that was a library.
Smart one.
Yeah, and honestly,
Smart
the
move,
town really would want a town department running an open forum Facebook group. So she's going to continue running that, but we are going to take over the Northborough Guide starting July 1st. So we started a transition process. We will look for a way to, and really for me it was the small business directory that I was really interested in addition to the community calendar, and trying to see if that's something that we can make work, because we tried that through BeWell, and the software that we have for that calendar is not great. So it just, by the time you got everything on there, you couldn't read the calendar. So her interface is a little bit nicer for a huge list of events. So we're gonna try to keep that going and kind of be that central hub for what's going on in the community. And we had been looking for ways to support our small local businesses. So this is maybe the first step in a series of upcoming engagements with small business owners in Northborough to see what we can do and how we can partner with them. So that press release will go out. Marilyn and I wrote a joint press release, and it'll go out toward the end of this month. But we've already started the back end transition process of taking that over. So we're excited about that new project. It was perfect timing. We had talked about it last year. It was just like, there was too much happening. So this is kind of perfect. So, awesome. That's really all I have.
all right. Does anybody have any questions for Jen about anything?
If you could give me like a 2-sentence synopsis of that.
I will do that.
Are they changing the name of the Facebook group out of curiosity?
I think it's Northborough Community something. It doesn't have Northborough.
It doesn't, you're right, it does not.
And we'll
Just important to keep the two separate
Yes.
first.
I wanted to make that
Yes, to
very
stay out of that.
clear. Branding. Yes, and we put it in the press release as well that is not going to be affiliated. And I think that makes the people who are members of the group more comfortable, and obviously makes this.
Yeah.
Having a very active Facebook or social media group that needs to be moderated by function of its existence and popularity is something that a municipality is very hard to take on, because removing posts have First Amendment
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And also,
And there's
By personal.
political
Right.
topics also
Right.
that you don't want to be,
yeah, we're not saying that. Yeah. So yeah, we didn't want to intrude on people's open forum and discussions.
smart
And
decision.
also, yeah, don't want to get into the mud of, yeah. We'll edit that. Thanks.
I don't think you should.
Part of my branding.
Right in the notes.
So yeah, I think it's a really exciting project. And I think that was really our main concern was the social media aspect. We're already very active on social media. We have our channels. And we didn't want to sort of muddy that, but the two big components of the Northborough Guide certainly seem to fit into our mission. And I think will sort of open new opportunities when it comes to interacting with other groups that have events and small businesses and just make us a stronger partner.
That's great.
That's great, because that's a great community resource, and we're a good community resource, and there's not a lot of overlap between the two right now, so.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So that's my exciting news.
Okay, yay.
Cool. Now you won't have that to put in your newsletter, your report next month.
You can do one less thing, trust me, next week.
Sounds good. If you don't have any other news or any other questions, I'll jump to new business. I have not really a new business, but it's not on the agenda, so I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to be doing these subcommittee assignments for this coming fiscal. I was going to leave the committees that form the way they are, so that whoever's on a committee now will stay there, unless someone has a problem with either being on administrative or long-range planning or building and grounds. If everybody's okay, then I'll officially let you know next month what I've decided for subcommittee assignments.
Suspense.
That's all I have.
One additional thing, kind of old business, but now that we're meeting in person again, I'd like to go back to see if we can make it a habit. A motion from the floor should be written on a piece of paper and then read to the committee, to the trustees, handed through to the chair, to be initialed by the person who composed it, presented it, and then it comes through to me, and that is the language that will go into the minutes, and that is the language that we actually will be voting on.
Okay.
So I'd like to just, now, pro forma things like, approving the minutes and adjourning and things like that, no problem, we can have it. But any motion coming from the floor, I would like to have it in written format.
Could you include that in minutes, please?
Yes.
So that,
Mr. Hogan, could you include that in
Yeah,
your
I will
minutes,
do
please? Thank you.
I'm in charge of the minutes, so.
That's why I said it.
so I think that is the question though that was unresolved for us about are we meeting in person consistently moving forward or on Zoom, or we talked about a combination of both, but I don't know if we settled that.
We did not.
Okay.
Thank you, that was my question as well.
Okay.
Like, I know we met tonight because it was convenient to bring buildings and grounds and let's meet. And I know there was talk about a couple times a year, let's come together, but is there, what's the appetite?
I personally didn't intend that we would always meet in person, as long as there is the option to meet remotely. Partly, I think it makes Mitch happy because it's much easier to record and broadcast the meetings for posterity. And I just think that I think it makes it easier on people all the way around. So if people want to, and especially during the winter when it's potential bad weather, it makes more sense to do remote meetings to me anyway. So unless there's somebody here who's gonna jump up and down and say, no, we always have to meet in person. Anyone?
Make a suggestion
Mm-hmm.
to make it easier, clearer. Could we, not necessarily tonight, but think as a board about a schedule for in-person, or to your point, being remote during the plague months is perfectly acceptable. And I know that we have 1 month that we don't meet in August, so. But is there, thinking through the library calendar, is there a time of year, let's say 2 or 3 of our 11 meetings, that make sense to have in person, whether we're trying to accomplish business with subcommittees, or it's a great time to have the volunteer event and try to make it a blend. I'm not looking to put a motion because I have literally nothing to write with. I don't carry a pen anymore. But just a thought starter for the team to maybe think about for next meeting and come with ideas.
In person.
You got me out of my house once this year, Richard. Twice.
Only willing to do this 2 or 3 times a year.
That's my suggestion. I'm the first one to speak up, so this is
I
a.
think it's a good idea. I like seeing everyone in person, but I also like the flexibility of, we don't have to worry about where we physically are or what the weather is like, or if we're on vacation or anything like that. So I think most of the time we continue to meet remotely as we have, and then a couple times a year it makes good sense. And it would be great to piggyback that onto other things, whether that be simply a social thing for the board and or staff, or piggyback onto an art opening night or something else at the library.
Sure.
Like we did last time.
Right.
It's never hurt to have the, most of the time the trustees are always in the background. It doesn't hurt for people to see who we are.
That's true.
The better for us.
Okay. So we will think about when we might want to have in-person meetings and bring our ideas for the next meeting. All right.
On Zoom.
On paper. Just
I expect you all to drop that notes on house.
Stick it to your front door. All right, you can do that. All right, so we have Jim's proposal for when we are in person. Motion should be in writing.
Mhm.
And make sure that we know what we're doing. And that makes perfect sense to me. And we will think about a calendar for the in-person meetings when we might want to do those. And we will have a discussion about that at the next meeting.
We could practice doing them in the chat on Zoom.
I was gonna say.
I mean, you could, because then you can get the transcript and then you have them all there.
There's an open meeting law question about using chat or.
Using chat. I think that there's a chat function.
Yeah, webinars.
Are they having?
It's
I'm not
disabled. Oh.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the chat, I think, is
Yeah.
disabled, and I don't have a way to handle it.
Because if a quorum of us talk about anything library related.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
The public can't see that it's.
I was thinking.
So whiteboard really big and just. Is that right?
Well, we've been kind of fudging it online. It's been difficult sometimes to actually capture the language when we've been on Zoom. And fortunately, I've frequently talked to Michelle and Jim and said, this is my sense of what actually happened. What do you think? And 3 of us have come up with what we think was the sense of the board. But it's been bothering me a little bit, the way it's been happening.
What we do on the select board, which I have mixed feelings about, but it helps in this regard, is the anticipated motions for the meeting are written up in advance. So they get written up actually by the office. They get emailed to the chair for a quick review before the meeting, and then they get sent out to everybody just prior to the meeting. It doesn't have to be quite that formal, but having something that you've put together that says, I think the motion will look like this. Sometimes it changes, but at least there's something already written down.
You're right. And there are times when we know that we have a motion that's going to be in front of us.
Mhm.
Yep. So as long, if we know that ahead of time, we should be able to draft something.
Oh, yeah.
Have it ready to go, and like you said, if the discussion evolves and we have to change it, at least we have the bones of the motion.
I've seen it done with Google Docs, but that might be a little complicated where there's a Google Doc that everyone's on that's being screen shared in the webinar. And then you can go in and type it in so it's recorded at the same time. But
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
might be,
If we wanted to set up a screen
Yeah.
share, you could probably be you, and you could have it pre-typed in if we.
or people can go in live if
Yeah.
everyone has access. But if,
Yeah.
if
As
your
long as-
concern is the
yeah. Yeah, as long as the public gets to see it.
Right,
in the same way that we
so
can.
it's screen shared facing them. Yeah.
I can do that. And do you also decide in advance who is going to read the motion?
As chair, I assign them, and I have mixed feelings about that, separate from this, but that is the tradition, so I just follow the tradition. And usually that's try to make it even all around. And some people, if they're a liaison to a particular committee, I'll give them the motion, or if they participated in that activity that led to that motion, I'll assign it to them, but that's
On the
just
plus
a thing.
side, it's like, you're gonna read the motion, so when you're ready for the motion, that person
Yeah.
knows.
And some of the motions that the select board deal with are rather complicated and
And
legalistic.
Yeah.
So to have them written out or else the 4 non-chair members would be sitting there waiting for someone else to read it.
The problem is, once a motion is seconded, then discussion can occur. And that's when a motion, the language can change. And that's the problematic thing that bothers me in terms of getting it into the minutes.
Yeah, so if we started out that way, if we were in person, we could, Michelle probably would amend that on paper as there's a formal amendment. And sometimes even before a motion, a dollar value might change or something else just prior. But you do your best guess ahead of time, and sometimes you make change. One of the motions, we had at the select board meeting last night, we get a change too at the last second. We can deal with it. But
No, we'll do the best we can,
Yeah.
but you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
All right. Anything else anyone wants to bring up? If not,
Yes, I do have one question. Since you mentioned it, do we have a liaison? Is it you?
Me.
Okay, I feel like I missed something somewhere, and I'm like, I assumed that was the case, but I'm just gonna say it out loud so it's recorded and now we'll know.
he didn't mention it to us.
All right.
That's good. Yeah, which is a select board thing about what the liaisons do and how they communicate it out, separate from this body is something we have to deal with.
You should bring 2 hats.
You just turn it
I
around.
never looked at it as multiple, I've always looked at those sorts of things as I wear a bigger hat,
Nice.
not multiplex, because I'm always all of the things.
Which has more than 2 hats. Remember the big spags, like?
Yeah. That, really good one.
I just dated myself.
We
I
are
think a lot of, I think a lot of it's
It's job fair, thank you.
All right. If there isn't anything else, now that we've resolved that. The date of the next meeting is July 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Do we want it remote or in person?
Remote. I'm just gonna say it. Let's be the first jerk in the world.
Yeah, I think, remote. So I don't have any vacation plans, but
Some people might.
traveling.
I mean, if they're literally traveling.
I am actually literally traveling that week, so Zoom would be great.
Okay.
Are you okay having
Are
a
you
meeting
on
while you're away?
vacation or are you?
No, I'm fine with it.
So you're on vacation, you're lying to me. It's okay. I'll remember that.
All right.
I don't want my travel.
Got
Oh, so you're not traveling?
it. Not
Got
right.
No, definitely not.
Oh.
Just not in this building.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the next meeting will be remote, July 11th, 7 p.m. If there isn't any other business before the board, I would accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move, we adjourn the meeting. Jocelyn Kelly. I say.
Thank you. Pat. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at 7:26 p.m. say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries in the affirmative unanimously.
No, excellent.
We are adjourned.